Kim Burton, what was your day-to-day life like as a Scientologist? Not just when you were in the Sea Org, but before that. How often throughout the day would your beliefs impact how you related to a situation, or the choices you made, even down to which films you watched? And how did you feel when you interacted with people not in the church? Was it always in the front of your mind what would happen to them because they weren't? And even if you weren't thinking of these things consciously, do you think subconsciously they had an impact? Can you feel a difference now you are out? Kim, this is a really great question, and I'm really glad you asked it. Because I haven't really thought about this at all, and no one's ever really asked me about it, not the way you did. So let me tell you that my life used to be radically different on a day-to-day basis because of my Scientology beliefs. I always looked at the world through the filter of Scientology beliefs, and quite a bit. And I didn't really think about it much until you asked this question, and I started thinking about it and went, wow, my life is like, my views on things are so different now. And I hadn't really appreciated how different until I started thinking about the way I used to think. I used to walk, okay, so let me give you some examples. Walking down the street, I used to look around at people, anybody and everybody, and think, one, that one day they were all going to be in Scientology, and two, and they just didn't know it yet, and two, that I was actually superior to them and senior to them because I was a Scientologist. It was an attitude. And I can't imagine that that attitude didn't come across to others. But until now, I've never really thought about it a whole lot. I tried to be friendly, try to be open, but inside there was always this kind of arrogance that must have seeped out, that I was a superior being. And I actually had times when I would walk around outside or go to the store or do whatever with another Scientologist, and we would talk about it. I mean, like literally, we are so much higher toned, right? Meaning emotionally better off than these people, all these people out here, these wogs, as we would call them. Eventually, I got a little tired of the wog moniker because I felt it was just a bit much, and I started calling everybody muggles because they were the people without magic. And we in Scientology had the magic, right? So after Harry Potter, that was sort of my own substitute. And I always got a laugh from Scientologists when I did that too. It wasn't a verboten thing within the world of Scientology for me to do that, because I don't think a lot of Scientologists really, unless they're kind of in a mood or an attitude, they don't really, at least I met a bunch of Scientologists who also didn't particularly like the word wog. Okay, so other ways that this manifested was reading, watching films. Very good question, or sub-question there on films that I watched. Absolutely, I was very much pro Scientology celebrities, of course, but also everything I watched was through a filter of explaining what was happening in Scientology terms. If I saw, people on the screen or in real life fighting or having an upset, oh, that's just their reactive mind. Or after I did the RPF in the Sea Org, oh, that's just their evil purposes. If they only knew, right, their evil intentions that are buried deep inside them that require Scientology auditing to get rid of. I was really big on that for a long time. After I came off the RPF, in fact, for probably about 2 years, I was one very calm, stable dude. I mean, nothing ruffled me really. It was really hard to shake me. But the reason for that, one of the key reasons for it, is because I felt like I understood everyone. I really thought I had a handle on why everybody was acting the way that they were. And of course it had to do with evil intentions, because I had just done the RPF, which is nothing but finding and erasing evil intentions, right, that you've had for millions of years, according to Scientology beliefs. So I would see conflict, I would see problems that people were having, and I felt like I could practically see through them. Not to the specific evil intention or evil purpose or problem or whatever that was in their head. It wasn't like a telepathy thing. It was just more like I felt calm and chill around them because I felt like I understood them in a way that they didn't even understand themselves. And I knew, and so I felt like I had a kind of empathy maybe, or compassion for them. And even if the situation didn't particularly call for it. And, you know, like they're yelling at me, or they're angry, or they're upset, or something like that, right? And I'm feeling like I'm kind of in tune with what's going on with them, and that I just need to kind of calm them, de-ruffle their feathers, and kind of chill them out, and let's get on with life. And eventually, you'll get into session in with Scientology, and you'll get that addressed, and you'll get that handled, and then you won't be mad all the time like that, or you won't feel the need to yell at people, or this kind of thing, right? And that was both in and outside the world of Scientology that I felt that way, although since I was in the Sea Org at the time, I was mostly surrounded by Scientologists. Let's see, other ways that this would manifest. Well, I was constantly thinking about clearing the planet. I was constantly thinking about it. How are we going to do it? How, there's so many numbers. And the more that the years went on, the more I started really it became very real to me that there were a lot of people in the world. Way more people than I had kind of conceptualized as a teenager, as a young man. As I got older, traveled a little bit, saw some more of the world, and then I guess near the end of my Sea Org career, I guess the last couple of years when I was traveling around a lot, and I started interacting with more non-Scientologists, it really started dawning on me that they were not the screwed up, messed up, aberrated, as they say in Scientology, people that the church or Hubbard presented them as. And so I kind of liked them even more. But I kind of started losing that idea that I was senior to them or something. It kind of started balancing out a little bit more the more real world, experience or exposure that I had. Just a bit, right? But I was always thinking with Scientology terminology, which led me to think with Scientology concepts to explain the world around me, which kept me in the Scientology bubble. And that's why the terminology is so important, because it locks in these sort of neural pathways or something where you're always thinking in these certain terms. Every time there was an upset with someone, or there was even saying an upset, apparently that's not, a normal English thing. People are upset. They don't have an upset. Well, that's a Scientology thing that's a noun. But we would call it an ARC break, right? An affinity reality communication break, right? And so I was constantly, that was always filtering in my mind as to what I was observing was always, okay, I'm observing whatever, and so what Scientology principle explains this? Okay, good, that's what's going on, right? And now that that's all gone, or mostly gone, I'm in mystery about a lot of things that go on in the world, and a lot of reasons why people do what they do. It's just, what is going on, And so you see me on my channel here talking about various things with critical thinking and science and reason and stuff like that, in an effort to try to figure this stuff out, because the Scientology model clearly wasn't it. So the yearning or desire on my part to still understand people and understand what's going on in the world and why it's going on, and it's still there, and it's still there because I want to know about this stuff so I can help people, and that's kind of what's always driven me. So the difference, then and now is that I don't have those filters kind of in place anymore. That's when it's been fading away and going away and sometimes being forced out of my head by me, because I know that it's not, it doesn't work. It's not workable, right? But even to this day, some of it still creeps in, but it doesn't rule my view of the world. It's not the filter that I use anymore. So I hope that answers the question. I hope I gave enough examples to make it, you know, somewhat understandable how I used to look at things. But basically, I was, you know, pretty deep into the Scientology world and the Scientology worldview. And, you know, and now I'm not.